Greetings, hello, salutations, how are you? NoZoupForYou here, and you are watching some Belfast gameplay, and the reason for that is, it's another giveaway, and obviously I'm giving away a Belfast. Yes, that's right, the original OP Fire Spewer itself. Your chance to get one if you were unable to pick one up in the past. If you don't have one, now's the time. You might get lucky and have one. This ship was not the original overpowered ship, but it was one of the original. You had this, the Kutuzov, and I think the Tirpitz was even considered overpowered for a time, if my memory serves me correct. At least some people viewed it that way, but I don't think the Tirpitz is that overpowered, but I digress. El Matador won the Kutuzov. The Kaga is being given away. I'll announce that winner later. The reason I'm not doing that right now is this is pre-recorded. I've got a busy weekend, or had a busy weekend at the time you're watching this. That time of the month for me, and no, I don't mean that time of the month. I had battle assembly, which is almost as painful, I guess. Moving on to other things, and the overall topic of this video, the proliferation of HE. Yes, that's right, the proliferation of high explosive rounds. And is there too much in the game right now? And this has always been a constant topic. Everybody always complains about HE spamming, and I agree that it happens a lot sometimes, and it can be very frustrating, especially if you're in a battleship and you're constantly lit on fire and there's nothing you can do about it. But I think in the past we all accepted it as a part of the game. It is what it is, right? So things have kind of changed with the Royal Navy battleship line, haven't they? Just a smidge, and I think we all have kind of noticed it right now, haven't we? We've all noticed that these ships have a very, very high percentage chance of catching ships on fire, and it's horrible, isn't it? Or is it? And that's what I want to discuss right now. I mean, is it just our imagination that all of a sudden we have a proliferation of HE? Is it? No, I don't think so. And hear me out, and before I get into my thoughts on HE itself and the Royal Navy battleships, really what has happened with the Royal Navy battleship line is wargaming has awoken a sleeping dragon. It's not like all of a sudden HE has just materialized out of thin air. It's always been there, laying dormant, like a gigantic chamber of magma just waiting to erupt. Which is fitting, because that's basically what HE is. The Royal Navy battleship line has just kind of reminded everyone that it's there, and you probably noticed by now that a lot more than just Royal Navy battleships are using this. I've encountered Yamatos running it, I've encountered Missouris slinging nothing but HE, and it used to be in the past that when you were fighting another battleship, it was almost like, coward! Why are you using HE? Stop using HE. You're a battleship. You're not supposed to use HE. This just goes against everything you're supposed to do as a battleship. Just stop it. You're frustrating me. You're catching me on fire. You're cheating. Blah, blah, blah. Use your AP, you coward. And that's how we felt in the past. That's how it's always been when you encounter that North Carolina spewing HE. It's like, oh, you're a noob. Look at you, noob, firing HE. Well, things have changed a little bit. And I think people are realizing now that HE is a very valid form of shells to use. I think battleship players are realizing that, hey, I can possibly do more damage, even more damage than I could with AP. I'm just going to stick to HE now. These Royal Navy battleships were onto something. I'm going to use HE now the whole time. And you know what? I don't care if you call me a noob or whatever else. I'm going to sling my HE. I'm going to catch you on fire. I'm going to melt you, and that's what I'm going to do. And that's the way the meta is shifting right now. And I think really, you know, it's not like this is new. All these battleships had the capability to do it in the past. All of the U.S. Navy battleships have that capability. The Japanese battleships, all of them do. All of them have an extremely high fire percentage chance. Maybe not Royal Navy battleship high, maybe not that 46, 47% that the Conqueror has, but they're up there in the 30s. I believe the Yamato's right around 35%. So if you have a salvo that hits, you're guaranteed at least one fire. You know, if 2 or 3 rounds hit, you're guaranteed to fire almost. So it's not like this is just something that has magically happened. Like I said before, I think wargaming through the Royal Navy battleship line has just reminded us and brought it to our attention that, hey, battleships have HE. It's equally valid as AP. And now people have caught on, and like a wildfire, another fire-related cliched saying, like a wildfire, it's out there, and everybody's miserable right now, right? We're all miserable. Honestly, I hate coming up against a battleship's lane nothing than HE right now. And this is where I get into the part of whether I agree with it or not, and whether I think it should be the way it is, and I want to keep this as neutral as possible. I don't want to, you know, do the alarm knee-jerk reaction thing. And just going back to my video, are battleships destroying World of Warships? Dun dun dun! That was a question. I think most of you caught the question marks after that, and it was an extremely clickbaity title. I apologize. I used the old YouTuber trope of choosing a title that was nothing more than clickbait and ran with it. So I apologize for that, but it was deliberate, and I wasn't necessarily trolling the community, but it was a valid question that some individuals, maybe a fringe element, have been asking about World of Warships. You know, are battleships destroying the game? And of course they aren't. They're an integral part of the game, and I love battleships, and we all love battleships. But now we got to talk about HE, and I'm not going to go into whether or not HE is destroying World of Warships. It's a part of the game. It's an integral part of the game, especially if you're a cruiser or a destroyer where you have no other recourse to fight the big baddies, the battleships. You got to use HE. But I'll tell you what, I don't necessarily agree with battleships using HE. And this is coming from someone who loves battleships and plays battleships a lot. And historically, just taking a historical look at it, battleships did not use HE against other ships. I mean, battleships used HE, but they used it for shore bombardment. I mean, take a look at Henderson Airfield and why Kirishima had so much issues when it was fighting South Dakota. It had to stop, it had to pause because it had HE rounds loaded. We can't use that against battleships. It's got armor. Armor was created in the 1800s to defeat high explosive rounds. Yeah, HE against wooden ships, that works great, but against armor, against battleship, not so much. So, as South Dakota and the U.S. fleet is steaming towards the Japanese fleet, they surprise each other. Oh crap, I'm a battleship and I've got HE loaded. I've got to unload all of this, and I've got to load AP, and that gives the U.S. the drop, and they're able to attack us before we can fire back. So, battleships and HE, shore bombardment, yeah, it's great. It levels forests. But ship-to-ship battling, that's a no-no. And I understand a little creative license needs to be used here. But I personally would have no problem taking HE away from battleships. Oh my god, did you really say that, Zoop? You are blasphemous! You're a horrible person! No, I'm not advocating that. I from a historical aspect, could really allow that historically. Whether or not I agree if it should be taken out of battleships in the game, I don't know right now. I really don't know that there's a big enough problem with HE at the moment. I do think that the Royal Navy battleships, the HE percentage chance is a little too high. Honestly, I think it's a little too high on all the battleships. I really don't think they should have the chance of starting fires the way they do. Again, because battleship big guns are there for AP rounds. And the biggest problem I have with battleships using HE rounds, it caters to the lowest common denominator. There is no skill level involved with HE. None at all. And really, if you are a player that does have skill, it doesn't matter what you do, you cannot counter HE. Angling won't help you, because once that HE smashes against anywhere on the superstructure, if it's a large shell, the splash damage is going to cause a fire somewhere. And personally, I don't like that idea. I don't like the fact that if I'm angling and doing what I should against another battleship, they should necessarily have an edge over me because some player doesn't know the difference between AP and HE and they're just slinging HE because it's the first thing that's loaded. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I know a lot of other players, and I was talking to some that are very, very good battleship players, they kind of agree. There's no skill necessarily involved with HE. There's not. It's a very easy weapon to use, whereas AP shells, you've got to wait for your shot. You got to make sure you hit in the right place, and you know you're not guaranteed doing massive damage. HE though, you can land it anywhere, and boom, you got to fire. And if that ship's already repped, then they're in trouble. Now, I will say coordinated HE attacks are a brilliant thing, and you know I've seen battleships, especially Dunkirk battleship captains figured this out a long time ago. Two Dunkirks working together with that high fire percentage can absolutely wreak havoc because they're timing their shots, they're watching for the repairs, and they're firing back. So the question is, do I want that eliminated? Do I want that teamwork element eliminated from players and take HE away? Not necessarily, because like I said, there's a time and a place for AP, and there's a time and a place for HE as well. So really, I don't know where to go with this, so I'm going to defer to you, the community. What do you all think? I mean, I personally think the easiest and most painless fix would probably just be look at every single battleship and drastically cut the HE fire percentage chance. Don't eliminate it, and I doubt that's ever going to happen, and I'm not advocating that. I'm not. But significantly decrease the fire chance. Maybe even to under 20%, just so that not every round is a guaranteed fire. Maybe 1 in every 3 salvos a guaranteed fire, so that you're not constantly slinging it, and you have to be wise in the way you pick your AP and your HE. I think that might be the easiest solution, if it's bad enough. If it gets bad enough. And again, it's not like this is just some new magical thing that never existed. It's always been there. It's been dormant, and Royal Navy battleships have just awoken the sleeping dragon. So, and plus, you know, these ships are just out. They're new. And while, you know, I've done disgusting things in the low-tier ships that I normally do in high-tier ships, damage-wise, it's still early. We don't know the full effects. So we need to calm ourselves just a little bit and wait just a little bit to see where we go with the proliferation of HE wielding battleships. So those are my thoughts on that, and just some things, some food for thought, some things to chew on. So I want your opinions on that. Again, get entered for a Belfast so you can spew your own HE of death. Details in the words of this video, the description. Why did I call it the words? I'm an idiot. Anyhow, guys, as always, thanks for watching. There'll be another giveaway in 2 weeks. Want to know your thoughts? I am out.